Okay, I'm a newbie to YouTube, but I was told that some people might find some things that I do around here interesting, so I'm going to put a few videos out and just see if I get any kind of responses, any kind of interest. We live in northwest Mississippi on about 8 acres. We call it a homestead. It's kind of getting to be. We've got our collection of homestead materials that are left over from jobs that we've done around and stuff we've been able to pick up free here and there. It's just a lot of, let me give you an example. There's some pieces of wood that I just couldn't throw away. Some old windows and doors, chairs. I actually picked those up at the dump, believe it or not, but I'm going to restrap those and paint those. They're in great shape. There's some cypress wood. A friend of mine has a cypress mill down outside of Marks, Mississippi, and he had a bunch of wood been laying around for a long time, so he let me have it. I picked that up. Some old fence slats, cinder block. You always can use cinder block. We picked up these old barrels from their food quality barrels. We're going to use to store water in and rain catchments. Just got to clean them up. Got those off of Facebook Marketplace. PVC. This whole pile of PVC was just sitting there at the dump, and the guy let me have it. I mean, it just made no sense not to do something with it. And each one of those large pieces are filled with smaller pieces, so I've got a ton of PVC in that pile. Buddy of mine got new gutters. I got his old downspouts to help make my rain catchments. Just all kind of stuff. I even have the kitchen sink. We replaced ours. That's the old one. That was power poles that were on this property that I cut down because we had no need for the power where they were. A deer pull, some pieces of metal, and just some more lumber, some more wood. You know, some more cypress came off a friend of mine's house. This is the back of our place. We actually bought this property with intentions of building a house behind that tree on top of that hill overlooking all those crop fields, which we will do. We're going to do it in May, but with this coronavirus, we decided to just hold off for a little while. I got a little barn over there. I built that deck myself. My wife helped me a little bit. It's not perfect, but it works. We've got a chicken coop I picked up on Facebook Marketplace from a nice young lady who expanded her chickens. So I've got to do some work. It was sitting on the ground. It's got some rot, and I know there's a lot of termites I found in there, so I'm replacing a lot of the structure wood. And we'll probably get that done and do some video on it in the coming weeks. Another neighbor gave us this one. It was originally an old dog pen. I'm going to use for probably either a chicken hospital for raising chicks or possibly a rabbit hutch. We do a lot of gardening. This first little part you see looks pretty ugly, but it's really what I wanted to show you. It's just cardboard. Basically what you're looking at here was just like this. Just regular grass, weeds, whatnot. And the first stage of turning it into a natural area or a flower bed for us is we put cardboard down and put any extra soil we have from digging a hole, planting things from time to time. And we'll put maybe a little more soil on there, and we'll put a coat of leaves and compost. Those bags you see over there I picked up in a neighborhood here, about 20, 25, 30 bags of just leaves that people raked up, and we're kind enough to leave on the side of the road. And we beat the city people before they picked it up. We grabbed them, and we can leave them there. They'll compost inside those dark bags. Or what we tend to do is we'll put a big layer of those leaves over top of those cardboards, and then we'll put a thick layer of that just Bermuda hay. Again, we got off Facebook Marketplace. One of those big, it's not so big now, but it was a big bale. It was about 15 bucks from a local hay farmer. And we'll spread the leaves down, layer leaves, a layer of that. We also have compost in this compost bin that we make for our household kitchen scraps. It's about full now. And it's some nice, rich, black, loamy stuff. See a big old spider in there moving around. We get a critter on from time to time. If you can see that splatter or not. Make him move so you can see him. There you go. Well, he took off. Anyway, we'll add some of that compost as well to that, and then top it off with some pine straw. To give you an idea, again, it starts like this. We put that in there. When it's all said and done, because this area was exactly the same as that, it looks kind of like this. These are some natural areas we put in. Again, it started with cardboard. It's a little rose garden. It's nothing special, you know, it's no big deal, but it's a lot prettier to look at than just that old green grass. We put some azaleas in this year, some flowers. And again, this has just been done in the last few months, so it's very young. You can imagine how as these plants get more full, more developed, how pretty this area is going to be. And again, this was all just reclaimed by laying cardboard down and going through the steps that I explained. We added some pro mix in some areas where we knew we were going to plant some flowers. My brother actually came and built this nice little sitting area with some stone. I picked this stone up off a job that he was finished with, and this was all scrap stone. And he sent his guys over. They spent about 3 or 4 or 5 hours and made this nice patio. More of the stone just to make a walkway around to service all the plants with water and fertilizer and whatnot. But just a nice area to sit by the walkway here, or the porch here, and just enjoy. We've planted, actually this whole area, this whole garden area was all clay. When we bought this property, this whole property was about, I don't know, maybe 7 foot high in Johnson grass. And you can see how it goes uphill over there. So really where I'm standing, about to my waist, I'm 6'3" and about to my waist was where the dirt level was. And we had to take all that away to push soil back and make room for that double wide to sit behind that tree, because it sloped right behind the tree. So anyway, long story short, this was all clay. And we did the same thing on this garden area. I laid cardboard over the entire expanse of the garden, a little at a time, putting anywhere from wood chips to, like I said, pine straw, hay, anything on top of that that could hold it down. And we also put a load of cotton burr compost on top. And then we just started building these boxes. I built the framework up of these 4x4s and 2x4s. And it doesn't look like there's much there to keep animals out, but there actually is a black mesh. That mesh you can find for like 20 bucks on Amazon. And you'll have to replace it maybe every year, but we find it's worth it to keep the deer out, keeps raccoons out, birds out. Birds can go over top, but you see they'll fly into it and fly away most of the time. But again, this whole flower bed was done with cardboard. I've got to deal with some ants there, it looks like. It was just cardboard with Pro Mix and clay or cotton burr compost added, and started putting flowers in. A lot of these flowers came from my mother-in-law's, who moved in with us 4 or 5 months ago. Before she moved out of her house, we transferred some flowers and some stuff from her place, and some blueberries. A couple here. I'll just walk you through the garden right quick. It's a simple little latch there. We've got a little salad bed here with onions and just different types of lettuces. We've got, I think this is broccoli. We've got some cauliflower. There's some cabbage in the back there, and Brussels sprouts. You know, these are snow peas. It's something that I just learned about these. I've always enjoyed taking these leaves and just eating them. They're actually really fresh and delicious. But I just found out a few people have got onto that, and you can actually stir fry these like you would spinach, and they're delicious. So I'm gonna try some of those. Once we pick our peas off, we usually just cut those plants away, but I'm gonna eat them this year and see how they taste. I'm excited about that. These are potatoes. A garlic that snuck up over there. More peas. More Brussels sprouts. These are all potatoes. My wife always slips in a marigold in the bed here and there to draw the bees to pollinate. This is a bed of garlic that we planted last fall, coming up quite well. Again, you got the marigold in the middle to draw some pollinators in. More potatoes. This is what we consider a spring garden. More peas. We just put in the tomatoes and some peppers. There's some, I think that's some different herbs that she mixes in as well. But we actually had tomatoes planted, and we had a late frost in mid-April that took a few of our tomatoes, had to replant. Some of these spots you see there actually are going to be squash. Frost killed those. We had to replant those by seed a week or so ago. They hadn't quite sprouted yet. Got a few collard greens there. There's some more collards back over in the back there. And a friend of ours rooted a bunch of Swiss chard, and we're going to plant some ourselves, but she had a bunch left over, so we just grabbed hers she was going to get rid of and planted them. They're doing well. Some rocket down there, some carrots. More tomatoes. Anyhow, put a little windmill here. This garden will give us enough vegetables throughout the year to sustain good healthy eating. You wouldn't know by looking at me that I'm a healthy eater, because I'm not. But I always eat healthy in the summertime because there's lots of fresh veggies around. But these blueberries we just planted a couple years ago are really going to put out the berries this year. Anyway, we got some fruit trees out front. Again, we did not put cardboard out here because we find that this hay, this is just more for weed control than anything else. Does a really good job of holding back the weeds. We've done a lot of improvement to this soil. We added a lot of cotton compost to it, which just made it much, it's not clay anymore. You can see the darker color. Left it was grass that planted was all clay. We got 4 or 5 apple trees we planted, some figs, a few flowers in there as well. But this row back here is all blackberries. And I'll tell you one thing about blackberries, they won't escape. We make this little cage for them to kind of keep them under control, but they will crawl out. We've had some feelers come way out to the side, so they do take some controlling. But man, they put out some great berries. A friend of ours, an older couple, had these on their property before they passed away. They gave us some. What they did, they took pieces like this and cut them. These are all shoots that come out under the ground from over here, and we could take those cuttings, cut them in pencil-sized pieces, and put them in the ground and start new crop if we wanted to. We actually give a lot away to friends of ours. This is a fig that we transplanted from my sister's house before she moved. She had a bunch of nice figs. Got a few of those. This is our first year that they're actually going to come back, looks like. There's one there. 3 of those. There's another one. Anyway, like this if you want to see more and want to see some of the different techniques we have of gardening, reclaiming natural areas. That area around that tree, all that pine straw, again, was just, we just kept piling pine straw until we finally, grass quit coming up in it. We transferred these azaleas from my mother-in-law's when she moved here. We've kind of cropped them up a pretty good bit. They were kind of stragglers. I'll give you an idea of a before picture. See how nice that one looks now. It kind of looked, in the beginning, like one we just picked up in that same neighborhood. We got all those trash bags. We picked up these azaleas. Somebody left them on the street. Now they had a lot more wiry scrub all over them. We trimmed back, but as you can see, they've got some green coming out. We're going to be able to save those and make nice plants out of them. To buy an azalea that size would cost you $25-30 at the store. So that's about $50-60 right there we saved. Doesn't look great now, but this time next year, it'll look beautiful. A lot of these irises, I think they're irises. I think that's what Ray called them. My wife, they're, get those a lot around water edges, but they really do well. They're very prolific and grow very much almost like an invasive species of plant. They'll go and multiply like crazy. That was like half that size when we planted it just a year or so ago, maybe 2. And we've given a lot of them away. There's some we've taken out, and welcome to give to anybody who wants them. Any of our neighbors. There's our strawberry patch. This actually started with like 5 plants that my mother-in-law split up into all of these, and they've done very, very well. We got strawberry. We picked some already, got some more coming. More tomatoes. This is more of an herb garden over here too. This whole section is all pretty much herbs that she just recently planted. More peppers and tomatoes, and these potatoes back here. What's crazy is this whole bed was potatoes last year, and we hadn't planted anything in it yet. These came from last year. I guess we left a couple small pieces in there, so we're gonna let them mature out. We've got this string like this netting. We're going to make this one big green bean bed and some other small things once we pick those potatoes out. This area here looks pretty rough, pretty trashy. We're fixing to clear this out. This will be another project I'll probably do some video on. We're going to do an overhang from that, under that eave that comes out maybe 6 or 8 feet, and make this like an outdoor kitchen and just a garden area. I actually got some firewood I'm starting to collect. This was all free. We had a tornado come through not long ago, not far from here, and people are setting a lot of wood out by the road, so I've collected some here and there. And I'll just get it cut into smaller pieces and split and stack over here once we get that eave put up. Anyway, that's another wood pile, some more cypress I got from that gentleman down there, Marks, Mississippi. I trimmed some bad pieces off over there. I'll use to burn to make fires. They burn real well in our fire pit. And these pieces here are just good quality pieces of wood I can use for other projects. A couple of pear trees. This is another natural area we're creating. This was, again, just like what you see over here, just dirt and grass. And we're kind of claiming it back as a natural area, or making it a natural area. Got a few pear trees planted. We don't get a lot of traffic here. When we do, it's typically a farmer. But anyway, this pear tree has got, it's the second year. We planted a year ago, so this is its second year. It's already pulled a lot of these pears off to give the tree more of a chance to strengthen. First year or two, you really don't want to take much fruit off a tree. You want to get rid of the fruit so it can put its efforts into the limbs and the roots. This is a more coarse hay that I found. It was just on the side of the road, a big bale of hay. And you got to be careful. A lot of this hay, if you get it early, will have a lot of seed in it. It will sprout out a lot of grass, give you a lot of trouble. But if you let it set for a year or two, it'll get almost like compost and real. This is dried up because it's been in the sun a few days. It was almost a much darker color when I first put it down. I put a flagpole in the ground. We actually had a flag, a 20-foot flag, and some high winds actually snapped it right above that piece of PVC. That goes down about 4 foot in the ground with some concrete. I just got to buy another flagpole and learn a lesson to take the flagpole out when we're going to have a storm. It's very easy to do. My burn barrel, and I have some scraps to burn. Again, we've got about almost 8 acres. That little flat spot on the hills where we're going to build our home. And the driveway will extend from behind my truck right down through here and go right out to that hill where we'll have probably about anywhere from a 200 to 2,400 square foot home at some point. We've got, I got to move this material over to my material pile and clear this up. It's, again, stuff I've collected that is still usable for some project at some point. Some stones from, again, my brother. He had a bunch of this in his backyard that had just sat forever. He was cleaning up, said, "Do you want this stuff?" And he knows I'll come get it. He had some of this heat brick. Again, that's the brick you use to make rocket stoves or to line a fireplace, or I'm going to use it to build a smokehouse. That'll line the area my fire is going to be in my smokehouse. So I'm going to have to mow here for too long. I got about 8 acres, like I said, and I'll probably mow about 4 of it, 4 or 5, something like that. Got some beautiful old Civil War era trees on our property, which is nice. It's my well. I'm actually going to remove the wood trimming and actually build a small little well. It looks like an old well house with a draw bucket on it and everything at some point. It's not a priority at the moment. We've got other things that are higher on the list. We also had one of these park, like, I forget what they're called, I call it a park spigot, put in as well. That way if we ever lose power and the electric pump in the well doesn't work, we can get water from our well by just pulling up the handle. I think it creates vacuum or something which draws the water up. I'm not sure about that, but it definitely works though without power. Some more stone. And when I got the stone from my brother, this was all just a lot of grass and weeds growing up over here. I actually set all this stone here. Most all the stone you saw me using over there in the garden came from here. And if you notice, also over there, you notice it actually killed, by laying the stone out here, instead of stacking it somewhere, by laying it out, it actually killed a lot of the grass and weeds around these trees. So it made it just more natural looking. When I move these stones, I won't have a bunch of grass and weeds like you see down here. This that you see down here, this is what it used to look like here. I did learn a valuable lesson. I've been cutting around these trees with my mower. I've got a Exmark. And by cutting around the trees, it would all grow high in there. I learned I could raise the setting up to about 4 or 5 inches and cut over any the wood debris that's on the ground and still keep it under somewhat control. So it's not as bad this year because I've been doing that. But this is kind of what that looked like over there. I had to fell a big oak tree down here. That's what that big wad of green is. There's a lot of weeds growing up around it. I had to fell a tree there when I first bought the property because it was rotted and limbs were falling out, and I was worried about one of my family members being out here messing around. And we have a lot of family outings out here. I have nieces and nephews. I didn't want a limb falling and hurting anybody, so that tree was dangerous. I had it taken out. We've got some pecan trees. That's one of them, and there's several on the back side of the property. But it's just a nice piece of property. Once we get this house built, which again will probably be, I just stepped in an ant bed making this video. Hope they didn't get on me. I don't see any yet, but look at those ants. They are nasty around here. I don't see any on me. See, if they get on you, you'll know it, because they will bite the fire out. They don't call them fire ants for nothing. Yeah, I'm getting bit on this leg. This wasn't planned, I can assure you. See if I can get rid of some of these before I'm getting bit a few times. One thing about fire ants that I've learned is that you might get a bunch of them on you before you get one bite. It's like they get on you. Once they get a bunch of them on you, they set out this pheromone or some type of signal. Say, all right, we're all loaded and ready to go. Let's bite him. Because they'll all tend to bite you at one time once they get loaded up with a bunch of them on you. Anyway, I see lots of wildlife on this property. Deer, raccoons, possums. I've seen a few king snakes, one cottonmouth, some black racers. This is a tree. I've got to do something about this tree. I don't want to lose it. I've got to clean it all out. It's got so much undergrowth. It's taking it over, and it will kill it if I'm not careful. I'm not sure what kind of tree it is, but I don't want to lose it. So probably sometime this summer, I'll have to devote some time to, actually I'll probably wait till the winter time, because all the undergrowth will be died back and I can just go cut it at the base. Anyway, I do harvest deer off this property for food every year. I'll show you a couple of peach trees I planted a couple of years ago. I planted them very small. They've grown quite a bit. I've got a purple leaf plum I've got to take out of there too. But this is the first year we've had any sign of peaches. It takes several years for them to get to the produced peaches. There's one right there coming in. A couple. I don't think we're going to get much. They're probably not going to survive the season, but it's just nice to see. There's one there coming. There's a few on this other side. But anyway, by next year we should have some. We'll be fertilizing it and make sure we'll have some peaches. Man, look at the size of this fire ant bed. I'm glad I didn't step in that one. That's the only problem living in North Mississippi. You got a lot of fire ants. Beds everywhere. But I keep all this grass. I used to mow it all, but I keep all this grass high. I'll cut it about every 2 years. I don't want those small trees getting big enough I can't run a brush hog over them. But I keep that high. The deer will bed down like crazy in this at night, and I want the deer comfortable. I keep all this high down through here as well, all the way to the road, because deer will cross down there and cross right through this high stuff and just use my property as a channel, a travel channel. And again, they bed at night, and I'm sure they feed in here some, because there's some grasses they like to eat as well. This is where one of the places I sit. Deer tracks walking right through the anthill. But I'll sit in here during deer season. My chair's still in there. This is just an old water tank I picked up somewhere for next to nothing, and just painted it camo, stuck it behind a tree here. It's actually not sitting level. I'm gonna build a small little deck to put it on. If you notice, I've got a little trail I keep cut that way, help to encourage the deer to walk right through here and walk right by it. But anyway, that's a pecan tree. That's a pecan tree. I keep somewhat clean underneath it. Mow it several times a year at a high setting, just doesn't get too much growth. I keep some walking paths. I'm due to mow. Usually I keep it mowed pretty tight, but it's been probably about a week and a half since I mowed. These are some flowers I mow around until they die back. There must have been an old home site somewhere around here at some point, because these are all narcissus. How you pronounce them? My wife, that's what she calls them. And they're just spring flowers that come up. This area holds water. I'm eventually going to put a levee from that tree to about where my hunting box is, and that whole area back in there will be about a 1.5 to 2 acre pond or lake, small lake, whatever you want to call it. That's a project that'll probably happen after we build our house. I don't want to keep this cut through here to access my neighbor's property over there, because he lets me hunt sometimes too, but it's just it's been so wet. I can't. It holds water so well down in there, which is good for when I build a pond, but it's no good if you want to try to keep it cut. But my property runs all the way to the road, about 350 yards that way. It goes back another couple hundred yards that way into a little corner. Then it cuts back up to that tree and runs the whole side of the property up with those trees. Big triangle. Anyway, I hope you have learned something or got something useful out of this video. So feel free to make some comments, any suggestions, anything that you saw you wanted to see more closely, or any questions about any of the methods we have for creating natural areas or gardening or flower beds. I'm happy to try to answer them. I wouldn't say we're professionals by any stretch of the imagination. We're self-taught, but we have learned most of what we've learned from doing a lot of research ourselves online, watching other people online like this. So anything you've got any questions about or comments, feel free to fire them away. I'll be happy to respond to them as soon as I get time. And thank you for watching.